And we're back with more Echo.
Okay. Hello.
Sorry it took us so long. We had to process.
The coyote latches onto my shoulder, yanking me back. Something hard smacks into my skull and I feel my mind rattle. I lurch away, essentially butt-bumping the coyote as my ears ring from the prior blow. TJ's still on the ground, crying and covered in booze, as the bullies stand around him. My movements go sluggish, and it's like I've become a zombie, shambling toward the door as my vision blurs. Is this what being knocked out feels like? I clench my fists and keep up my pace, trying to blink the blurriness away. So you all remember Route 65?
Ah, yes.
Eventually, I reach the entrance. Carl? Leo? As I reach the outside, my knees lock and I drop onto the concrete. The impact rattles my bones as I catch myself with my wrists, just barely managing to avoid falling directly onto my muzzle. I take a deep breath. I'm still conscious. At least half conscious. I continue crawling, trying to ignore the throbbing pain. Carl! Shouting now, my voice sounds foreign to me. Shrill, childlike, pathetic, and increasingly hoarse. Leo! My voice shouldn't be this croaky. I barely talk today. I'm in the middle of the road now. Where's Carl? I should get out of here before a car comes. I pull myself along the asphalt, feeling my skin scrape beneath my fur. I want to stand, but I'll probably just fall again. So I keep crawling, rolling into what seems like some sort of detention basin. I stare up at the sky, fighting the sudden fatigue and gritting my teeth through the pain. At first, I think it's blood that's gotten to my eyes, but upon rubbing them, I realize that isn't the case. The sky is different, like someone slapped one of those colored gel matte filters over it. What the hell? I rub my eyes again, attempting to focus. I can't stay here. TJ is in deep shit. Those idiots, those assholes. Sucking in a sharp breath through my teeth, I rise to stand. I rise to a stand, praying my knees don't lock up again. Find Carl. Find Leo. I stumble out of the detention basin, feeling packed soil beneath my feet. Oh, I love this. This is actually a new one for the anniversary edition. Because you see that in the distance?
No. The sun's... my light's on. Oh, interesting.
Yes, you realize what that is, Harry.
I do.
I think I know what it is.
And
Interesting.
here's actually a fun little tidbit that I just remembered that I wanted to tell you in between videos, but hey, the audience will get to have a fun thing with this as well. So, as it turns out, the hay is modeled off of the old Chase model from the original edition.
Oh.
And I don't blame them for that, because it would have meant that they would have had to make 200 new images if they wanted to use the current Chase model. So, I don't blame them for not wanting to do that to themselves.
Yeah.
A dirt road. Looking behind me, I realize I must have crawled farther than I thought. Parsons looks over a mile away. That can't be right. I see a van ahead. It looks rusted and old, but there's a light on inside. I step stiff-leggedly down the road a ways, reaching the bend where the vehicle sits. The same redness the sky is tinted with pulses from the interior. I try to speak, but no words come from my throat. It's like a dream. I want to do the rational thing and announce myself, but I can't. I move closer, peering into the dusty back window. Inside the window, is another window, and in that window, a little red dot in the corner, flashing on and off. In the window within a window, there is a writhing, flashes of fur contorted, undulating in constant, restless motion. Something's trying to hold it in place. I hear a clap and a cry. The clapping continues, louder now, rhythmic yet singular applause. This is what you want. Oh, wait, no. Wait, I'm trying to figure out which one this would be. You know what? This is what you want, says the voice that cried. I stare, slowly finding the will to speak. No, I need to help my friends. Do you know where they are? The voice shifts some, more urgent. We heard gunfire coming from the town. It's real bad. Gunfire? I didn't hear anything. Please, help me find my friends. We can't find them all now. We need to go. They're lost. No, they're not. I'll keep looking. I'll keep looking myself. You're just going in circles. I feel tears well within my eyes, a lump in my throat containing a choked sob. Please. The van's back door is open. I'm standing too close, and it pushes me onto my back. The red light is gone now, replaced by darkness, shifting shadows within. I see them now. Tarantulas, their 8 legs fuzzed with white and rust-colored stripes. They're on me with haste, 2 of them, one on each of my arms. They bite so hard, so quickly, I can't yell. They pull and tug at me, another pair at my legs. I'm pulled up and into the van, my body stretched upon squishy something that begins to sink against my arms and legs. There's no more light. I stare paralyzed at what I think is the ceiling of the van in the pitch blackness. It feels like restraints are binding me in place. I try to adjust my eyes to the darkness, but everything seems blurry and unclear. My head throbs like a heartbeat, the pangs of pain unrelenting. My fur bristles. Where did the spiders go? Breathing has become more difficult, as if the oxygen in the van was running out. I feel the veins in my neck bulge as I try to grasp for large breaths, but my body is not my own. Light seems to pop as the ringing in my ears intensifies. Something is above me. I can sense it. There's a garbled muttering coming forth from it, as is spoken through a poorly tuned AM radio. It sounds like me. You knocked him out? I swear, I barely touched him, man. Fucking pants on. Dude? Just go. Leo. Go! Before he wakes up. I'll see you... Party? It goes quiet. Then, after a few more seconds... Chase. 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 The voice changes. This time, the voice is throbbing within my head.
Have you ever killed anyone?
I'm also realizing something about that. I had always... So, I can throw out this theory now that we've seen the hay. I had always thought the red-eyed one was the hay, but I'm realizing, especially with that scene, and now that I got to see it with like more detail and clarity, that looked like white fur with red eyes.
Can you replay it? My lights were on. I didn't get to see a good thing.
Here you go.
Ooh.
See, I
Uh,
always
The red
thought
eyes
that was
stick
the
around
hay.
too. Nice.
But, like,
yeah, no, tufts of white fur across
Yeah.
the silhouette.
And I had never noticed that
And
because
the
I always
fi-
played with like the
here's-
orange light filter.
Here's another thing that's interesting about that, right? Remember how I said I thought that the head kind of just went... There was no face.
Yeah. I think that might actually have been Sam. Especially
That's
because
what
the
I was
last line
wondering.
was Sam too.
Yeah.
Alright, I think this is either Jenna or Micah, I think. Let's just go with Jenna for now and we'll find out if we're wrong.
Chase.
I hear my name once again, and I lean forward, only to find my head pounding and something metal around my neck.
Chase.
Oh wait, a coarse rasp, that sounds somewhat familiar. That must be Micah, actually.
Okay.
Again, my name is spoken, the voice a coarse rasp that sounds somewhat familiar. I blink several times, trying to get the blurriness to leave my eyes. They feel puffy, like I've been crying a lot. Sure enough, as I touch my cheeks, I can feel wet stains. I must have wept while I was out. Finally, my vision clears enough that I can get a read on my surroundings. It's some kind of trailer, with trash and stained clothing scattered all about everywhere. Most of it's beer bottles and old TV dinner packages, with a few stacks of vintage science magazines and newspapers along the back wall. Dishes and junk are piled high along the length of the counter, and it smells like cigarette smoke. Brian must have brought me here. Maybe this is his place? As the reality of the situation sinks in, I quickly try to stand up, but the sudden tugging on my throat pulls me back down. I clutch at it, and realize it's some kind of metal collar that's keeping me pinned to the wood-paneled wall.
Chase!
This time, I turn and crane my head back to identify the source. Oh!
It's Carl! That was unexpected.
Matt, you get lines!
Oh my god, I did.
You sound so excited.
Oh yeah. I am ecstatic.
Carl. My heart leaps, but stops cold once I notice the position he's in. The ram's on some kind of table, with bindings around his neck, wrists, and fetlocks. The ram cranes his neck in what looks like a painful fashion to look at me.
Can we just stop for a second?
Yeah.
Pity the ram. Chase was on that board for like a day and a half. Carl has been on that board for a week straight.
Not a week, but hold up. I can give you the full timeline on this. Carl's been missing since Wednesday. Today is Friday. This is his third day being on that. Chase also was only on that for like about 12 to 14 hours.
Oh, he was with Brian? I'm in shock. I didn't get that.
Yeah, he got kidnapped
Pity
by
the
Brian
ram.
a while back, unfortunately.
Pity the ram.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, well, everyone's like, we gotta figure this out slowly and surely. Yeah, no, unfortunately for Carl, he's been in the hands of a serial killer this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
His eyes are puffy and bloodshot, far beyond his usual pink-hued, drug-induced haze. Also, I'm just gonna say, this is the route that I feel does Carl the dirtiest, unfortunately, for him. He did not deserve any of the shit that he had to deal with on this route.
Dude got straight up tortured for 3 days straight.
Mm-hmm. And that's before the fucking hysteria sets in.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Poor Carl.
Poor Carl.
He's been crying. A lot. Carl! I exclaim, my voice a half whisper, half shout. What's going on?
Really, Chase?
His voice is weak, crackling with some enunciation with each enunciation. I can see the veins in the ram's neck bulge through his thin fur when he tries to speak. What? Of course it's really me. Did Brian nab you too? Shakily. Who's clicking around?
That's me. I'm sorry.
Shakily, the ram nods his head, his horns making clacking noises against the wood table.
It's all a fucking nightmare, dude. I can't tell what's real anymore. Everything's fuzzy.
He squeezes his fists, then wrenches his wrists back, trying to worm his way out of the bindings.
Keeps coming by and tightening the wrap around my neck. Until, like, I can only get a tiny bit of air. After a few minutes, I start to see lights popping, and everything goes all dark and grainy. Over and over again.
It's at that point I notice there's something hanging above him on the ceiling. A mirror. Ornately framed with gold-colored trim and pinned up with rusty metal stakes. It's so starkly fancy and out of place, considering the rest of the trashy interior. Jesus. I strain against the collar around my neck, trying to get a better look at my own bindings. It's hard to see, but this collar looks like it's bolted to the wood-paneled walls on both sides of my neck. Haphazardly, too, as it jiggles whenever I shift too hard. At the same time, the edges of the collar are not too exactly smooth. I feel like if I yank too quickly, the metal will cut into my own neck.
It's coming. I just want to go home, man.
I share the sentiment, though right now, I'm just trying to get my bearings. The edge of my forehead where Brian hit me throbs with pain every couple of seconds. There's no air conditioning in here either, and I can't help but feel like I'm sitting in a hot car that smells like a dumpster. There's a pungent aroma of body odor mixed with something kind of like rotting fruit. Every breath I take just brings more of that scent into me until I can practically taste it on my tongue. I don't know. I finally respond. Carl's heart visibly sinks, his eyes darting around the room before finally settling on something to my right.
No?
I blink and delicately try to turn my head to peer beside me. Crumpled on the floor and bound in a similar type of bondage to my own is Leo, still unconscious. His lip is split and a little bit of blood has pooled onto the gray carpet. Fortunately, he's still breathing, that big chest of his rising and falling in a slow rhythm. It looks like he took that strike earlier mainly on his muzzle. Hopefully, that means his head itself didn't take too much of the brunt, which undoubtedly would worsen the hell out of his concussion. Leo, wake up! I hear him grunt softly, like I had just disturbed him from a pleasant nap. His eyes already seem like they're half open, so whether he's truly sleeping right now isn't clear. Stretching out, I can just barely manage to nudge him with the tip of my tail. Leo, come on! Another soft groan.
Looks beat up.
Carl rasps. Yeah, Brian beat him pretty bad. Twice.
Oh.
Orange-tinted sunlight seeps in from between the slates of the closed blinds across the room. It must still be daytime out, but just barely. I wonder why Jenna isn't here. Maybe she got away? Outside, there's a pronounced puttering noise drawing close. It vibrates the room we're in slightly, and there's a faint noise of oldies music that carries along with it. A car. Maybe an old pickup truck. Carl goes quiet, listening as well. Next, voices. They sound terse, argumentative.
Me?
I think this is, Clint.
Oh. Okay.
So this would be Matt, yeah.
Going after your fucking sister?
One says, higher pitched and pained.
It was not Clint.
It might have been Brian.
No, because, like, the thing is, if they're talking about a sister, it has to be Jeremy. He's the only one with a sister out of all the characters in this story. So it was somebody talking to Jeremy. I think it was Clint.
Okay.
They brought this on themselves.
Clint. Yeah, see? Leo was right. He was involved. Fucker. Alright, and I think Jeremy was me.
Think so.
What do you think he's gonna do to them? Jeremy's voice comes through less annoyed than the other two. He sounds almost afraid. Oh, it was Micah this whole time!
Same thing they did to Keith, you mangy fuck.
That high-pitched voice. It's Micah.
Ha! We all were wrong.
Mm-hmm. Well, fuck. At least he's alive. You don't know that.
Yeah, shut the fuck up, Micah. Don't disrespect him with this sort of conspiracy shit now. That was a shit show. You done screwed several pooches, and I ain't covered for ya. You don't know shit.
I can hear another car pull up. This one with a much quieter engine. Carl visibly tenses, seemingly recognizing the sound.
It's him, dude.
A car door slams, and the voice is silenced.
Hello there. A bit of a day, huh?
The silence continues for a while, until Brian speaks again.
After you.
Clint makes a little irk, and the door to the room we're in opens. The ringtail enters, his composure far more timid than I'm used to. He blinks when he sees Leo and I bound to the wall, staring at the two of us wordlessly.
Go on. What was it you were going to tell me?
Brian enters in after him, the hulking bear having to duck in to fit through the doorway. Carl quickly closes his eyes, trying to pretend he's asleep. The bear's focus remains entirely upon Clint, with Clint looking like he's practically withering under his gaze.
I think Duke said he was gonna be here in a couple minutes. Early folk are gathering at town hall, wondering what's going on.
The bear glances back over his shoulder, then extends an arm out through the doorway, grabbing something. I struggle to turn my head enough to see what.
Let go.
Jenna's tone is cold, completely curt despite the circumstances. Fortunately, she doesn't look too beaten up beyond her fur being a little tousled. Brian's holding her by her arm, and tightly, judging by the wince on her face. Her stony demeanor visibly fades as she sees the three of us bound up.
This is barbaric.
Brian ignores her comments, dragging her across the stained carpet to an old radiator in the corner. With some errant chain, he gets to work tying her to it. She seems to be getting spared the neck choker treatment.
You mentioned there were others with him. The Catboy and the mayor's cocksucking nephew, right?
Agent Flint, yeah.
Flynn, right. I know him. He's the one with the big bottom.
I
Clint rubs his scabbed arms, looking anywhere but Brian.
I don't know.
He quickly tries to shift the direction of the conversation.
Duke was talking about them. Do you want us to bring them in too? In case they got some incriminating stuff on their phones?
That works for me. Hey, little Jerry, what you doing out there? Bring in the last one.
Sure enough, Jeremy sheepishly enters the room with his paw on Micah's shoulder. The bat is trembling, walking with a limp and a swollen nose. Jeremy looks directly at Jenna for a moment, a flicker of shock on his face at seeing her and the rest of us in such a sorry state.
You guys are such shit. It's finally happening. And you all are gonna turn on me just like that. Succumb to it?
Hey man, you're the one who started trying to kill our boss with a wrench. That sounds an awful like succumbing to it to me.
He killed Keith.
Dude, no he didn't. You're just hallucinating. Brian lets out an indiscernible noise from the other side of the room, finishing up some bindings around Jenna's ankles. Brian seems like he's in his element, as if this whole kidnapping business is just as strenuous as a trip for the groceries. However, the mention of Keith does elicit a visible tensing of the bear.
Don't appreciate that kind of disingenuous assertion.
Look, you need to chill out here. Smoke some weed or something. That's a trick to make it go away, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. We're all gonna get real high and write it out, fellow fellas.
Brian smiles, showcasing his broken teeth.
Ain't got nothing to fret over.
The rotund Finnick pulls out a phone from his pocket, one that looks a lot like the burner Micah showed me earlier. I still can't get a hold of Heather. We gotta look for her too, man. Clint, who had been unusually quiet, snaps to attention as he realizes Jeremy is talking to him.
Check Paul's place then.
Oh, you're going there? Take Carl with you. Might need the rack. Only been a few days, and I've almost got him trained already.
Trained?
Shouldn't be too much of a flight risk.
I look at Carl, who's still trying to pretend he's asleep. He's not doing a very good job, as I can still see his legs shaking. Not that I'd be able to do any better in his position. Clint, without a word, moves to the table and unfastens each strap and buckle as if he were personally familiar with each. He pulls at the ram's soiled and slightly bloody tank top.
Come on.
He mutters. Carl complies, his fetlocks nearly buckling beneath him as his hooves touch the ground for the first time in a long while. He doesn't dare look at the rest of us, keeping his gaze down.
Good boy.
Brian rumbles, grinning to himself. Carl flinches. Clint pulls something that shimmers in the faint light out from the back of his pants. It takes me a minute to realize it's a gun. He presses the middle of the barrel against the ram's spine, his lanky finger hovering over the trigger. As I see the ringtail step around and push open the door, I notice that Carl is not the only one shaking now. Clint's own hand shivers fiercely. Like any second, he might accidentally squeeze his finger back. I try not to make any sudden noises, keeping my already strained breath shallow. This is so fucked. The two shuffle out without another word. Jeremy moves to follow them, but hesitates for a moment, looking back at Jenna. Jazz, just wait this out, yeah? I'll be...
Just go.
Jenna seethes, her words like ice, as if any more the fat phoenix rationalizing would make her physically ill. Jeremy thins his lips, staying there a bit gormless-like. He finally reaches down to his pocket and withdraws a joint and a lighter. Whatever he's got, it's potent, and he can smell it from all the way across the room. He ducks his head down, turning to follow Clint and Carl out to the truck. See ya, guys.
Eat shit, bitch.
Jeremy makes a concerted effort to not react to the bat's sputtered jab and disappears out the doorway. Brian makes his way over to the door and gently closes it behind them. Slowly, he turns his head back toward us. A light smile crosses his muzzle. His dark eyes meet Micah's own. His grin widens.
Hey, Micah.
Micah opens his mouth to speak, but nothing comes out. The bat just gops. Gops?
Bops.
The bat
Bops,
just-
yeah.
Okay, the bat just gops wordlessly at Brian, as Brian walks over and socks him in the chest. The little bat doubles over, nearly cracking his skull on the edge of the kitchen countertop on his way down. Jenna gasps.
See, one would think your prissy god-loving folks would have thought some proper manners when around the guests.
The bear squints down at the crumpled bat, inspecting him to see if he did any real serious damage.
At the very least, Keith shoulda.
Brian leans down, expecting some sort of profanity-laden quip from the bat, but he's met with silence. Micah's furred form heaves, his maw stretching open against the dirty linoleum in a dry retch. The bear continues to watch over him like this, nudging him gently with his foot. No one says anything, and I can see Jenna doing her best not to draw attention to herself. It's a quiet malaise which throbs like my pulse, pounding against the too tight restraints. Finally, he speaks.
That's right.
I'm just gonna say squeak for posterity for myself.
Hmm.
The bear begins to rifle through the mildewy kitchen cabinets and withdraws a pair of fuzzy white handcuffs. They're the kind of thing you see at one of those edgy mall gift shops for bondage play. Regardless of their intended use, I can see the glint of metal beneath the fur. They seem pretty solid. He fastens one cuff around Micah's thin wrist and opens one of the cabinets beneath the sink. With a quick tug, he jerks the bat's arm into it. There's the sound of clinking metal, and the other cuff is fastened. He must be securing him against the plumbing. Micah resists none of this, fearing further retribution from the bear.
I've had a bit of scorpion problem under there. Make sure not to get stung.
Brian's about to say something else, but stops as he spies something out the window.
One moment.
The bear hustles outside, without further word. Micah clutches his stomach, saying nothing. Jenna doesn't either. The only sound is the quiet groaning of Leo, and the clinking of metal on metal as we fiddle with our restraints. At that moment, I hear a soft mumbling in the distance through the thin walls of the trailer. I think this is a good place to stop for a moment.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
So say goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.